This is the last game. It's called TVT Non-Standard. In the prior TVTs, your big mistakes, actually in every single game you've played, you have delayed your third significantly and not gotten any more than 50 workers. So I'm beginning to think that that's just your game plan. And whether or not you want to change that game plan is up to you. So let's just take that as a given. I am going to get 50 workers. That is not a mistake. That's what I want. And go from there. So, TVT, when you fast expand with Marines, you're worried about 2 things. 3 things. First, is he going to Marine SCV all in me off of 1 base? And you can check that easily by checking if he expanded. And you can check if somebody expanded by putting a Marine or an SCV back here. But if they deny that, you can still check if they expanded by seeing how much infrastructure they built really early on in the game, right? Because if you're fast expanding, you can't afford anything until about 5 minutes. So if you look inside your own base, you fast expanded, you have 1 racks at 4:30, you know? So your second racks doesn't complete until 5, your third racks doesn't complete until 6. So it's pretty standard to scan someone's base around 6:20 unless you've already scouted that he has a command center or you've already scouted that he's still on no gas. And if you see like a completed starport with a Banshee building, you're like, okay, well, he clearly didn't expand super quickly. And if you see something like this where he's building add-ons on his limited number of racks and he's just starting his factory, then you're like, oh, he probably fast expanded. So just kind of get an idea of when people build their infrastructure based on whether they expanded or not. Next thing to check is whether you got gas. In this case, no gas. You know it's either going to be a fast expander or a Marine SCV all in, and you can counter both of those basically just by getting a bunker at the front. So anyway, next thing you're worried about is Banshees, and you're not worried so much as you just need to be ready to defend them. And then tank push. So you shouldn't have lost that bunker. I think you stopped repairing it by accident. Yeah, let's watch your money. You ran out of money. So why would you pull all of your SCVs when you can't even use them all to surround it? I don't know. But it was a mistake and it cost you the bunker, right? Ran out of money, can't repair, lose the bunker. And he kills all your crap. So this is, again, you notice how in all of the previous TVTs I talked about how your build is very weak at 8 minutes. And the hallmark of a fast expand is that you know you're going to be strong at 10 to 12 minutes. So all you need to do until then is be able to survive any sort of push. So just by building a command center and an additional orbital early on in the game, you know you're going to be at least $550 behind, but that's okay because it takes him a full minute to walk from his base to yours. So as long as you spend $550 a minute on, or $500 a minute on your army, and he spends $500 a minute on his army, you're going to end up being only $500 behind when he shows up. And because of his 1 minute walk across the field, that means you guys are going to have the same army size. That's the definition of like how to safely fast expand in TVT and TVP. Although TVP warp gate makes it slightly different. Anyway, in TVT anyway, that's how you safely fast expand. So a 1 base guy, this 4X, is going to be producing $500 a minute from the 5 minute mark on, right? Benchmark is 500 at 5, and then 1,000 at 6, and then 1,500 at 7, and so on and so forth. It's this, right? 500, then 1,000, then 1,500, then 2,000. So spending per minute is 500, then 500, then 500, then 500, then 750, then 750, then 750, then 750, then 750, then 750, blah, blah, blah. So when you 2 base, you're doing the same thing. 500, almost 500, almost 500. 750, 750, 750. It's important to eventually get to the same, and then you catch up on your army size deficit over the 13th, 14th, and 15th minute. So you're actually going to have a smaller army until several minutes after your fast expand completed. So it's important to know when you're strong and when you're weak, and how much you need to spend per minute just to be safe against various crap. So your goal is to always be 500 behind on army, right? So let's look. In the first minute, you are now 500 behind on army. This is perfect. This is where you want to be. In the next minute, you are now 1,000 behind on army. That's terrible. That's not where you want to be. And then in the next minute, you are now still 1,000 behind on army. So your big problem came between 6 and 7 minutes. From 6 minutes to 7 minutes, I don't think you produced a single troop, and that is why you got your butt kicked when he showed up. This is why Nick and I do the 4 racks fast expand, right? You fast expand, you get 4 racks. 4 racks has a $500 per minute production. So as long as you're always making a Marine out of each of those 4 racks, you know that you're producing enough army. And then you don't need to spend your gas on army. You can spend it on upgrades and tech structures and stuff like that. As long as your racks are always pumping, then you won't lose to any Marine all-ins. Oh, hang on. Thank you, Simon. It's called an alarm clock. It tells me when it's time to work. And this is I think you're doing the same build this time as you did in the last game and in one of your TVZs. So it seems like this is the build you like, and I think that you should just look up a different build. There's no shame in copying other people's builds and just using them your own way. What you like is lots of Marines with upgrades and medevacs and doing multi-prong drops. That's great. That's a fun thing, and you're good at it. So why not do it the most efficient way possible, rather than just kind of winging it. Winging it. Simon, calm down. Okay, so put the top back on and pick it up and put it up high. Don't just go no. That's just being loud and annoying. Give me the top. What do you want? Then go get them. Those are not fruit snacks. That is animal crackers. Okay. Here you go, dude. Anyway. And if you don't want to copy someone else's build, make your own. Just benchmark it against nobody so that you get a build that meets certain criteria. You got to set those criteria. You want one too, buddy? Here you go, buddy. Oh. Sorry. And one of the primary things, Marine tank push, the 111 tank push, hits at 8 minutes with a $2,000 army that includes 2 tanks. And that will kill you every time if you have a total of like $900 of army spending of pure Marine with a bunker. You'd just be so dead against a tank push. Banshee tank push, same thing, hits at 8 minutes with 1 Banshee, 1 tank. You'd be dead. Marine SCV all in obviously hits at this time. Honestly, I think what you had should have done fine against this. You just pulled too many SCVs to repair. I think you might even have eventually, yeah. So your build needs to have enough at 8 minutes to try at least to hold off a Banshee tank push, because you could play 100 games in a row doing this build against me doing the Banshee tank push and you would never win. Just doesn't have enough Marines, man. You need enough Marines to hold off $2,000 worth of Marines and tanks and Banshees. So refine your build a little bit. You need less gas, more Marines, more minerals, more Marine production. Like, you're not making your first reactor until I think 6 minutes, right? So your army production at 5 minutes is tiny. The most, like, even if you did it perfectly, even if you produced the most you possibly could, which you're not necessarily doing, this is 2 Marines at a time until 6 minutes. And now 3 Marines at a time from 6 to 7. It's actually 1 Marine at a time from 6 to 7. And now at 7 minutes, you finally have 4 Marines at a time production. but you make this reactor core, so it's really just 3 Marines at a time. So your production is just, it's incapable. With the build that you did, there's no way you can produce enough troops. So even say you scanned him, saw 5 racks, no gas, no expansion. You know an all-in is coming. You still couldn't have produced more Marines. You just don't have the infrastructure for it. You know? So you have to have a build that's capable of defending this if you see it coming. That just means having more Rexes earlier. So anyway, I would definitely recommend the Thorzane audio build. Just Google Thorzane audio build TVT and click this thing.
Hello and welcome to Audio Builds, where we analyze.
It'll tell you how to do this.
2 SCVs.
And so if you notice at 8 minutes, come on, 8 minutes. Here we go. At 8 minutes, he has 62 supply, stim combat shields on the way. I can't tell how many Marines he has.
Train 2 SCVs.
Come on, show me how many Marines you got, buddy.
Train 5 Marines. Build a supply depot.
Come on, show me your Marines.
Train 2 SCVs.
Show me your Marines.
Reset worker rally. Train 5 Marines.
I guess there's no way to tell.
Train 2 SCVs.
But still, 62 supply. And compare that over here. You have 27 supply. Like, that's because you just lost all your crap. Let's see. So 45 supply. It's just clearly a lot more Marines is the point. 62 supply at 8 minutes compared to 48, maybe 50. And Nick and I are even more Marine heavy than the Thorzane build. So what we do is 4 racks, then 4 Marines at a time, that kind of stuff. I've already talked about what you can do. So anyway, either refine your own build or use somebody else's build, but definitely have a build that can survive an attack at 8 minutes, because this one can't. And also when you pull dudes for repair, just pull 8 or 10 of them. I think that's it.